The old cottage you can see behind me is a fine example of a medieval timber-framed building. From analysis carried out by tree ring dating, we know that it dates from 1446. It comprises 3 bays, 2 of which were open to the roof, so that the smoke from the fire in the centre went up into the roof and escaped via these 2 gablets at either end of the building where the hips come down to the wall. Inside, the eastern end was floored to provide a sleeping area for the residents, and this was accessed by a simple ladder. Later on, in the 17th century, a chimney was added and 2 fireplaces, and the whole upper story was floored to provide additional living space. The wood store at the end and the gabled windows and the porch are all later additions. The tile hanging has helped to preserve the building. It was a Victorian addition, but it does hide many of the original features of the building. So what was the original purpose of this building? We always thought it was a domestic dwelling, but a recent survey has indicated that it could have been a detached kitchen serving a much larger house behind. Now these are 2 contrasting views, and we're still carrying out further research to see which one of them is correct.
How did this building become a hospital? In 1859, the Reverend Sapp, who was the rector at St. Nicholas's Church, which is literally opposite this building, donated the building to Dr. Napper, who was the local GP. He wanted to create a community hospital for the people of Cranley. He charged a rent of 1 shilling a week, and in return then donated the shilling back to the hospital to create funding for the treatment of patients in the community. In 1859, when the hospital was opened, over 30 people were treated in the first year. The first person to be treated was a woman from Ewhurst who was 63, and she had an ulcer on her leg. She spent over 3 months there. In 1861, a lot of the injured labourers who were building the railway line between Cranley and Guildford were treated at the hospital. How do we know that information? Each year, an annual report was created by the trustees, and that report shows the number of patients, their illnesses, where they came from. It also showed donations to the hospital and expenditure. As well as cash donations and subscriptions to the hospital, people also donated fresh food and bed linen. The bed linen was cut up into strips to create bandages for the patients. One of the biggest donations was red wine, which was used as a painkiller following an operation. I am standing in one of 2 wards. The ward over here was for men and the ward here was for women. Each ward had 3 beds. The 1861 census shows that one nurse lived here, Elizabeth Smith, who lived here with her son. When she wasn't working in the hospital, she was helping nursing in the community. The hospital was financed by subscribers who regularly paid donations, and those people could actually recommend patients for treatment. Also, local people could make cash donations, and outside the hospital, and it's still there today, there was a donation box for cash. I'm now standing in the operating room, which was on the first floor. There was a problem having the operating theatre on the first floor because the porter had to carry the patient up the winding stairs to get to here. So you may be asking, why was the operating room on the first floor? And that is because of that window there. This window is the only window which is south-facing, so gave perfect light to the surgeon who would be performing an operation on the table here. The sash window was also used for ventilation in the operating theatre. This Cottage Hospital was the first one to open in England and probably in the world. And during the 19th century, over 240 cottage hospitals were built in England to serve their local communities.